Welcome to the webinar on how to start a business during lockdown, and it's part of the Ask for Help program that's been launched in order to improve business resilience through the pandemic. It's supported by Boost, Lancashire's business growth hub, and normally it would be focused on business growth. But at the moment, it's all about business resilience. It's about getting as many of you guys through this as possible. Just a few housekeeping rules. Your microphone's muted. Please use chat if you need to ask a question. Please be positive and professional. On the slides, there's blue writing, suggested actions for you to take away. And I will suggest writing down actions that you're going to take during the webinar. I've packed as much possible stuff into this as possible, so that you've got enough as much information as you can. Please complete the feedback form, and we'll send you the slide deck because of the detail. Okay, just a bit of background. I'm a business and digital coach, so I run as a general business advisor and also as a specialist. I have professional qualifications. I'm also a managing director of a hybrid digital agency. So we do not only do delivery for people, I do their social media, etc., but we also train people. And we're desperately quickly building some online courses to help businesses through this crisis, and both the digital marketing one on LinkedIn will be free. Plenty of experience, worked with over 400 companies over the last across a wide range of sectors over the last 19 years. Been working with the Winning Pitch for the last 6 years. I'm also a tech Manchester startup advisor for tech companies, and I've been using technology since 1984. And I also have written a book called How to Create Your Own Successful Business, which if you go onto Amazon, apparently somebody's selling it second-hand for £88. We actually stopped selling it some time ago, so I don't know where that chap's going to get the books, but through the slide, read through it. I just want to show that I've been there and got and unfortunately on a few occasions shrunk it. I've treated setting up a company sometimes. So we set up an educational business in 2005, where we worked with over 20,000 learners doing enterprise challenge days. We had a team of 20 associates. With my daughter, I started a food business. We stopped in 2018 due to rising delivery costs, and supermarkets were continually driving down prices. Cub itself was started trading in 2001, and my daughter joined me in 2015 to create the agency. Now I'm employing 4 people, but we did have 5 prior to COVID. So we've taken a hit like everybody else. If you speak to any generally business angel investors or people who invest in startups, then they reckon on 3 to 4 success out of 10 businesses they invest in. So hopefully today you'll be one of the 340 successes rather than the 10. Okay, so what you'll leave the webinar with is understanding some business basics, what bootstrapping means, some ideas on time management, because it's time that you don't have a lot of, and there's a lot to do. We will be talking about cash flow and bookkeeping because they are absolutely critical to your business. It's surprising how many businesses I've been in which don't have a grip on their cash flow. Look at ideas for technologies to improve your efficiency. It's all about getting more done in less time. How to promote yourself, and then a few comments about staying fit and healthy, because if you're not fit and healthy, you don't have a business. Okay, some business basics. Okay, so what are the characteristics of lockdown? It was interesting. I was talking to somebody who's looking to start a business the other day. She wanted to sell fashion to export fashion, and sort of talked about whether when lockdown finishes. Well, We've just put out a post today, and having spoken to a few people who should know in the NHS, we're kind of looking at a second wave around about October time, when all the flu and cold stuff comes out in September. There will be an inevitable rise. Hopefully we don't go back to full lockdown, but certainly it's going to be rocky. GDP fell 2% last quarter, probably going to fall 20% this quarter. So what are the characteristics? Well, there will be reduced demand. Bad debts do tend to rise. You will see changes in buyer behaviour. Cheaper brands are going to do better. Like baked beans always do better during a recession than posh end restaurants. People do look at alternatives, and with lots of companies trying to disrupt the market, there are quite a lot out there. There'll be a lot of short-term thinking, so that means people spend less, invest less. Deals tend to be more fragmented and smaller. You'll need more marketing, and your sales lead times will take longer. But that still means that business people will be doing business. It's just going to be a bit harder. So starting up a business in lockdown isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you're going to start a business, then it's the opportunity that's important and how you exploit that opportunity. Okay, for those who want some ideas on why you need to think about change, have a read of Who Moved My Cheese. It's a really short book, it's fast read, but it really drives home to you why you need to be flexible. If you'd just like to type into the chat, let's test this out. Who's read Who Moved My Cheese? Yeah, thanks, Marina. Kate, yeah. Yeah, it's well worth reading, definitely. Okay, so The Bear and Two Men story. Two men were walking through the forest and spotted an aggressive-looking bear. And the first man took his running shoes out of his backpack and started to put them on. Second man says, "Do you really need that? Do you really think you can outrun a bear?" First man replies, "Don't need to. I just have to outrun you." And that's the same for you in business. You just got to outrun your competition. You just got to do better than your competition. So you're not going to conquer the world. You just got to do better than what's already out there. Some famous on change. Measure of intelligence given by the ability to change when necessary. I quite liked Buddha's "Never pain, it's only resist to it." I go surfing in a kayak, and if I fight the waves, it's really hard. But if I run with the waves, then it's actually really enjoyable. You just got to get used to running with the change. And unfortunately, there is a lot of change going on at the moment. So we've just given up our offices because our staff are very happy working from home. And I can't see us getting an office for 6 months. So anybody into offices and so forth are going to have a hard time. But you have to think creatively. You have to think flexibly. It's a great book for really driving home to you when you design your business. So somebody's got the microphone on. Rebecca, can I just ask if you got your microphone on? Okay, so the E-Myth Business is a really great book. It's not about e-commerce or anything like that. It's about how you can design your business from day one to be like a franchise, and that means it's robust. It can be scaled, but you may choose not to. But it's a great way of thinking about how to design your business so that you work on your business and rather than it running you. Okay, So the keys to business success, when you look at people like Richard Branson and so forth, there's only real three things. I've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs, and the best ones, the ones who are really, really successful, they're driven by what they believe in. They have a very clear vision of what they want. They may not know how to get there or who's going to get them there, but you have a real clear picture in the mind of whether it's material things or whether what business looks like. But they have that clear vision. They don't have a plan necessarily. And then it's sort of this drive and execution, ruthless execution, usually trying to look at metrics and a blind belief that they can problem solve as they go. Those are the three things. If you want to go with anything away from this takeaway, then it's those three things. Look at, do you have that passion? Do you have that purpose? What is that vision? Is it really clear in your head? Can you see it, taste it? Can you walk around it? And then are you going to drive? You're going to make sure that when you say you're going to do things, you do them. Are you going to plan ahead? Say, right, okay, I'm going to get this done by this time. Those are the three things that you must if you like, get right from day one. Okay, so this guy Simon Sinek, he changed my world a few years ago when I watched the YouTube video. Just type in. You don't need to read the book. Just watch the video on YouTube. People buy why you do things, not what you do. Yes, that's important for solving a problem that you may have, but when you're choosing from who to buy from, you'll buy from the company or which you believe in, and that's why brands spend so much money, because that's why they are, if you like, projecting it. But as a startup, you don't have the money to build a brand, so it's all got to be about how you're passionate. And the thing is that passion's infectious. So if you get in front of a prospect and you are knowledgeable and passionate about your product, you may not know that you're selling at that point, but because of that passion and your problem-solving skills when in front of a client means that you dig for the pain, you ask for the pain, and the person can see that you really believe in what you do. It was interesting. I'm watching I went to a webinar on major TV advertising, and it's all about what you believe in, and a lot of big major advertisers are doing that. But the thing is, you can do that as well. So I say, watch the YouTube video. It's well worth doing. It's only 20 minutes. Okay, this guy called Jim Collins, who wrote Good to Great. He brought up this principle, the hedgehog principle. And it's all about being the best. So we talked about being deeply passionate about what you do. That means generally, if you put the time and effort in, you'll be the best at it. Maybe not best at it in the world, but certainly the best at it in your locality. And then you're looking to sustainable economic. So for example, we do digital marketing. And so we charge everybody each month for the active for them. Now that might change from month to month, but with agreement from the client. But that's our economic engine. Every month, I send out invoices at the start of the month for all the work we're going to do during the month, and that's our economic engine, if you like. And it means that I don't have to worry about whether I'm going to be able to pay the staff each month, because as long as we have the right number of customers, they will pay at least the overheads. And then other projects will then come on top to create the profit. And I look for that in every business that I work with. And all those businesses that I've worked with for a long time, went into COVID, nervous like everybody else, but are coming out coming out stronger than those that haven't. Okay. So some core competencies which I believe you need for a startup business. We talked about the clear vision and passion. You've got to be good at problem solving. You've just got to use them, just knocking them down, and not letting the problems knock you down. Time management is critical. You need to use all your time on things that add value to the business. You do need some basic sales skills, but if you're a problem solver and are curious about people, then you'll naturally sell. You obviously need the ability to deliver your products and services. Cash flow is king. You'll hear that time and time again. One thing that companies are not particularly good at is performance management. So it's about getting on top of the numbers, whether it's number of inquiries, number of customers, whether it's number of work in progress, and so on. And then it's all about being better next time. When you start a business, you're on a huge learning curve. It doesn't actually stop, but it is particularly intense at the start, because you're always trying to find problems, fix them, and move on to the next one. Bootstrapping. So a lot of businesses, startup businesses, are faced with starting without startup funding. I've worked with funded startups, and that's a different type of business, and we won't go into that there. Basically, if you're going to start a business, you need cash coming from another activity. So some people do as an employment. We have spun off startup businesses from other businesses, but that's where there's some shareholders who are willing to do that. Outsource things you're not good at. I'm not very good at bookkeeping. I can do all the profit and loss and all the management reports and so forth, and I do the invoices and so on. But keeping record of all the invoices coming in and so forth, that all goes to a bookkeeper. So that's all looked after properly. I say, manage your time ruthlessly. Learn to hustle. So many people are worried about asking for the business, worried about what people might think. You need to throw all that away. You need to be prepared to hustle, to ask, to find out, be curious, and actively look for opportunities. When you do have opportunities, manage them. Whether you use a free HubSpot CRM or whether you use spreadsheet or we use a thing called Monday. Make sure you keep a record of who you sent a proposal to and keep on top of it until they are either a customer or are no longer interested. Be agile, think outside the box, be totally customer focused. Ask your customers what they want. Don't assume. We're going to talk about do, stop, continue exercises and all activities, so that when you pick someone up to do something, ask, do I actually need to do this? But there are other things which you do need to start doing. Do spend time thinking and planning. Some people do it through exercise. I do it through when I go sailing or kayaking or riding my bike, and try and get some fresh air, and do look at your diet. And when stress comes along, alcohol consumption can rise. That's not particularly a good thing. So you may want to think about that. Okay, so here's the books. As I say, get a copy of the slide deck and work your way through them. I've only put up the things that I think would be highly beneficial for you. In terms of the 7 habits, just look for a summary on Google. Don't buy the book, but it is the definitive book on how to be effective. The Terry Gleason book's brilliant. I've got loads of takeaways from that about improving efficiency, the E-Myth, talk about selling and so forth. Okay, Canvas. You may have seen the business model canvas. Difference from this one is, and if you just type Lean Canvas, go to Lean Canvas there, you pull it up. It has this problem box, and it forces you to think about the problems these guys have, because when you're selling, you'll need a pain model rather than the original features, attributes, benefits. Where you sell the benefits. Well, people have heard of the benefits. Most people now, when they're being sold to, are looking to solve a problem, looking to solve the pain. So you need a pain selling model where you dig for the pain, diagnose, ask questions, be curious. And so what you need to do for your business is identify the key pain points. It's what we do when we start talking to a client. Okay, time management. This is the Eisenhower matrix. You should be working on the important but low urgency stuff. So this is all about prevention. It's about relationship building, finding opportunities, working on the business, and planning and recreation. Obviously, you've got to deal with the crises, the pressing problems, but as soon as you finish with these, you should be back into this box and try and get rid of as much as the not important stuff to either to other people if it has to be done, or stop doing it. So you're continually looking at what you need to start and what you need to continue doing. Okay, some top tips on time management. Do it now. If it only takes a few seconds, do it now. So when I go through my email box, it's, can I delete it? Do I have to do it? Can I do it in the next few minutes? Right, I'll do it now. And then if I can't, then it obviously has to go somewhere else. Jim Collins talks about doing the hard things first. If you get the hard things out of the way, the easy things just seem to get done. We use cloud-based project management tools. These are the key ones. We use Monday, but I've got clients who use Asana, and design people tend to use Trello. Try to minimize paperwork. If you're handling a piece of paper, ask why, and can you get rid of it? So we'll talk about Xero and using receipt banks so that you don't need to handle purchase invoices. Switch off all alerts, notification, distractions on your machine. You can work in 45-minute bursts. So divide your day up into interruptible tasks and non-interruptible tasks. And then intersperse those out throughout the day, because there are times when you do get distracted, but there are times when you need to get your head down and concentrate and actually block out that time. As I say, be ruthless with your email. We use WhatsApp. It's a brilliant tool, really fast. Some people use Slack. Because we use it with customers, they all call customers have WhatsApp, and it's part of their normal routine, and that seems to work well. Create yourself a daily task list either the night before or first thing, depending on who you are, but be clear on what you're going to try and do that day. Set yourself 6 objectives that you're going to get done. Okay, so making it happen. Create a vision of where you want to be in 3 years. Visualize it. Actually try and taste it and feel it. Do it for both your personal and business life, because as a business owner, those two things are intertwined. And as much as you try to keep them apart, your personal life goals will affect your business goals. Set yourself a target for sales revenue for the financial year, and then track it each month. Some months will go well, some months go badly. Look at the cumulative. That's what's, because at the end of the year, if you hit your target, you may have had some bad months, but a good month, if you've got good months, they will take care of it. Then every 3 months, identify projects which you can move forward in your business. So for us, it's because I've got rid of the office, so I've got to make some sort of decide how we're going to meet and things. So that's my project for this next quarter, is how do we keep the team energized and engaged without them actually all being in one place. And I've got my goals taped to my computer monitor so that every morning I see what other things we've said I'm going to do. Okay, so technology. Technology is your friend with a small business. I'd have loved some of the technology that we've now got available. That when I started the first business in '94. Get yourself an accounting package. I believe Free Agent is free with I think it's RSB, the bank, RBS. Sorry. Another popular one's Cashflow. My personal favourite, Xero, but QuickBooks is also hard. And most packages seem to connect with QuickBooks and Xero. And Receipt Bank, this is a really powerful tool. It allows you to take a PDF invoice And rather than printing it out, giving to your bookkeeper to enter it again, you just email it into the system, and it goes straight in. You approve it, and that's it. No keying, no retyping. Works brilliantly. We also use Go Cardless. Some clients will pay by direct debit. So if they're on Go Cardless, I don't have to chase their debt. Some people, and it's amazing how many, and it's amazing who, do pay by credit card. We take a hit, but we get paid, and I don't have to chase. So, and that comes with when you set up Xero. So it's been a boom for us. Some supporting technology. We try and make your quotes as professional as possible. So we use a package called Quotient. There's also PandaDocs. Mentioned project management. If you've got any employees, 1 or 2 employees, Breathe HR is great. I'm useless at that kind of stuff. So Breathe HR makes sure I do what I say I'm going to do. We use this Keeper or LastPass for the security. Cloud-based, if you can work in the cloud rather than relying on things on a desktop, that's far better. So we're all cloud-based. We've moved offices. We're working from home. The transition from office to home was picking up the computers and moving. It required nothing else. So we use G Suite, which is cheaper, but there's also Microsoft's Office 365 for software. We use Dasheroo for measuring performance of websites and so forth very quickly and easily. As if you want to, the other probably notable one here is HubSpot CRM, which is free, Pipedrive, or Campaign for your CRM package. So that if you're thinking you're going to have quite a few customers, then please think about having a CRM so that you don't forget them and that you can regularly email them to them, etc. So making it happen. We talked about reviewing everything you do. Is there a cloud-based system? So we work with quite a few companies, and you can buy specialist cloud-based software. I would imagine for as a startup, that's less likely, but there may be packages. I know one quite young startup, they spent 100,000 on a piece of software, but that transformed their business, and it soon paid itself back. So, but that was a brave decision at the time. If mistakes happen, don't look at the person and say it was your fault. You'll find humans do make mistakes. It's review the process. Can you, make it or deliver it like first time, next time? I'm a great one of, if I have to do something a second or third time, I look to see whether I have to do it or not. If I do, then can it be a process? And also, if I can get somebody else to do it. Okay. Some functional areas, Cashflow Management, set your payment terms and don't be afraid to work to them. So ours is set at 21 days. When I was just doing business coaching, it was at 14 days. Please calculate your break even. Break even is when when your sales need to meet your overheads. So that if I go into a customer, I know each of my customers break even, and if they tell me the sales figure and it's below that, I know they've got problems. If it's above that, we can talk about other things, and that applies to bigger companies as well as small companies. Connect your bank fees to your accounting package. So I just log into my accounting package once in the morning, check, see who's paid, who owes money, and then jump on it straight away. I used to check once a week. That's not enough. But if you do it through your accounting package, it's a lot easier to do because the numbers are already there for you. You can do the bank recs very quickly. And I check how much cash is in the bank, how much is outstanding, and what's actually overdue. And then I jump on the overdues. I don't worry about how much is outstanding. It's the overdues that I jump onto. And use small claims. Thomas Higgins in Liverpool, dead cheap, £3 to send a warning letter, and then a couple of hundred to actually then put it through small claims. And most people pay up when they get the £3 letter. So I've only had to go to the £200 process. And of course, all that can be claimed back. So a client who I did have to take them through the whole process ended up paying nearly twice the bill. So yeah, please make sure you look after the cash. Okay, human element in everybody goes to like trust funnel. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's face-to-face. So I'm just going to, yeah, so okay, so sales funnel. Everybody goes through this, whether you're physical buying or whether it's through digital marketing. They go through an awareness, what do I need? They go through an acquisition, have I got the right solution? And then they go through an engagement phase, do I have the right supplier? And the idea is you want to make them aware of what some of the solutions, and so that you, so when they start looking for the right solution, they find you, and then they can assess you, do their due diligence as a supplier. Then hopefully you either give them a quote or they buy from you if it's an e-commerce site. Okay, a lot of companies, when I ask them who do you sell to, they go, oh, we'll sell to everybody. No, you sell to individual people with problems. And people with problems have characteristics. Those characteristics are governed by the industry sector, job title, the geography, possibly by demographics you're selling to consumers, and it's what challenges and they have, what pain points, problems they have, and what goals they're going to they're trying to achieve. And think about frequency. If you're selling say digital marketing, then we might talk to them once a month. If you're selling insurance, you might talk to them once a year. So it's looking at how often they're going to how often they buy. Okay, so type into chat why people buy from you. Do they buy from you from quality, customer service, whether it's convenience, whether it's difficult to buy somewhere else, whether they can buy it anywhere else, whether it's your expertise, and finally, and always last, price. Do they pay for your price? So if you just quickly type into chat. I know we're coming sort of running a bit late, but it'd be good to see how you sell at the moment. Why do people buy from you? Marina says expertise, excellent. Expertise and quality, expertise. Kate, yeah, brilliant. That's excellent. Okay, so I just wanted to talk to you quickly about reactive inbound or being proactive outbound. You'll probably seen from the web designers saying, oh, put up a website and people come and find you. That's called being reactive or an inbound strategy. Unfortunately, it's also very difficult to achieve, but it can be for certain people. And then being proactive, that's jumping onto social media, doing lead generation or on Instagram, approaching people and seeing if they've got a problem that you can solve. I put paid in proactive because you're actually, especially with Facebook and now with some of the LinkedIn re-ads, you're actually targeting people by type, maybe not as individuals, but certainly by their buying characteristics. So you're being proactive in that approach. When you put something onto Google My Business or LinkedIn just as a post, then you're being reactive and you're hoping that somebody might find you and do something. In a lockdown or in this sort of circumstance, you're going to be looking at a more proactive strategy. So some basic marketing. If you haven't got a website, ideally you could do with one because it's the only space you've got that you can control. So there's Wix and Squarespace for the very small companies. WordPress is my preferred starting point. And if you're setting an e-commerce site, please look at Shopify. I've heard too many people spend thousands of pounds on things like WordPress and WooCommerce and Magento, when really a Shopify site, certainly for the first 2 to 3 years, would have been more than enough. And the company I'm talking to, selling fashion, who going to export fashion to direct, is going to use Shopify. We've developed £500,000 businesses using Shopify, so I think it's a brilliant tool, very cost effective. Business to business, LinkedIn and Facebook. Manufacturers tend to use Facebook to add personality. Telemarketing, where you call people up, although that's really tricky at the moment for obvious reasons. Using MailChimp for monthly newsletter. If you've got some customers, keep in touch with them. Newsletter is a great way of doing it. You'll only get, probably 2% of analysts to actually click through to anything you send, but it does raise awareness. At least 10 to 20% will open mail. So always a good way of keeping in touch. And then business to consumer, we've got Facebook and Instagram. Facebook groups can work really well, and of course Google PPC, pay-per-click, AdWords. But if you are going to do Facebook advertising, then you will need video skills. So what can you effectively do on lockdown? Well, there's LinkedIn lead generation, and I've been doing some boost webinars on that. There's Facebook, Instagram advertising, pay-per-click, email marketing. You can purchase B2B data still. You can't obviously with B2C because of GDPR. People are experimenting with online networking, and I think most of the networks that were physical are now online, and probably will be for quite some time. But worth exploring. Is networking opportunity is brilliant for testing what your sales marketing message. As I say, cold calls aren't working, and I'm not seeing much direct brochures, direct mail. So somebody's asked the question, how do you purchase B2B data? So I think go to a company called Merryhill. There's marketing file. So Merryhill spelled MERREHILL, and then there's marketing file are probably the ones we would use. Okay, so this is a really old book, 1995, but I think it still works. Unfortunately, the examples are out of date, but the actual process is still highly relevant. HubSpot, I'm a big fan of HubSpot. Can't afford it, but it's a great tool. It's designed for bigger companies, but if you go to that URL, just read the guide. And if you're reading books in the background, then spin selling books, great. So basically, it's all about understanding, being curious about a problem that a customer has, and then looking at the implications, what's cause and effects, and then you need to show that what your product or service can actually solve the problem and leave them with you're better off having used your solution. So that's a good book. I like this book. Is Ali Jama. He's a Northwest business coach, very big into selling, and he looks at the psychology of selling, which I quite like. Because sometimes you think, why did that work? I did everything right, and it's because you're not selling. Because for example, I'm a doer. So I just do things, I get things done. So anybody selling to me has to get to the point really fast. And so if a salesperson who likes to be your friend comes to me and wants to sort of chat about life and so forth, he's going to get short shrift. When I meet, if a customer likes to be a friend, I then have to recognize that, and it's me who has to change. It's always the seller who has to change. So that's quite good. And then he has this sort of plan for, sort of basic system for actually selling. So the two books together make quite a good combination. Okay, I've been self-employed more of my life than I have actually been a proper employee. I think I had 10 years of being a proper employee, and the rest of the time as being self-employed or running businesses. I contracted diabetes. I had a half a day off. You've got to be resilient if you want to run a business. So you've got to make sure you look after yourself. I've always tried to do some form of exercise, not brilliantly. I now use a Fitbit, which does prompt me to do stuff. Certainly getting the diet right is important, and you'll probably see this in other books. Get 7 to 8 hours sleep if you can, or what you need for sleep, because everybody's obviously different. Obviously, there's none of this constitutes medical advice, so you should seek advice if you're not sure about anything. But certainly, you've got to have decent resilience, both health-wise and mentally, if you're going to start a business. Okay, keeping a dashboard, keeping score. So some of the key ones might be, certainly inquiries received. The sales revenue, both value and number of orders. What is your gross profit? What is your overhead, etc. If you don't understand any of these, please go and go and look them up online. The answers are all there, and you can build up a bank of an audience of regular recurring customers. That's really important for your business, because that means your overheads get paid, because your overheads have to be paid out each month. So if you've got a regular income to match it, then that really helps. Okay, we talked about continuous improvement. Training opportunity, development opportunities. Obviously, these webinars are really good. When something goes wrong, don't blame the human. Look at the system. Your system has failed you in some kind of way, shape, or form. And it could be training. Not just your process. Stay up to date with technology. It is changing all the time. It's getting better. If you don't, your competitors will, and they'll get an advance on you. Talk to all the business owners. We are now running on Wednesday mornings at 10 o'clock. It's a business support peer group where we have other businesses there, all talking about business issues that of concern. So drop a line to either Rachel or Rebecca, and they'll point you in the right direction. Free sources, lots out there. I love Neil Patel for digital marketing. HubSpot Academy is brilliant if you want to do any digital marketing. Google Garage again, and the National Careers Service have launched the Skills Toolkit, where they've got links to lots of training. So please avail yourself of that. I've been starting businesses over my life, and I'm still learning every day. You'll hear the phrase, every day is a learning day, or every day is a school day. That's certainly true. We've got a lot of webinars coming up. Later on today, we've got Business Model Canvas, which is the slightly grown up version of the Lean Canvas, which I showed you in this webinar. I'm doing one on getting found in Google, search engine optimization for beginners. So if you're in a niche area, there's still opportunities for you to get found on Google. And then Enterprise for All are running the Visioning Orbit, one on creating your marketing plan on digital, how to pitch and sell, and then growing your business in the new normal, life after lockdown. So those are all going to be very interesting and useful, I'm sure. Specialist staff are available, so there's Rachel or Enterprise for All. Okay, so do we have any questions?
Peter, sorry, Lynn was asking, how do you purchase B2B data?
Yeah, so you can purchase that either from Merryhill, MERREHILL. So these are third-party brokers, or check out Marketing File. The Direct Marketing Association, DMA, if you look that up, will also give you details. Always buy small subsets first and check them against things like LinkedIn if you're buying B2B data, to make sure the data's up to date. It's okay to buy B2B data. Don't forget if you do an email out to a cold list, which is what you're doing, your open rates will be down at 10%. If you're doing one to your customers, I'd expect it to be around 30%. So don't be disappointed that you've not had any people open it. That means 90% haven't opened it, and MailChimp will actually, if you can actually say, please email all the people who didn't open it. But what I've found is if you do that, make sure you change the subject line, because it was something to do with the subject line probably that's not enticed them. Okay. Any other questions?
Lynn was also asking before, will the presentation be emailed? And yes, it will be emailed after the webinar.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
I think that's it.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for attending. We do now have a group running on Wednesday mornings, which is part of the Boost Lancashire programme. Starts at 10, finishes at 11. We're now having a 10-minute slot on some experts. So next Wednesday will be the sales geeks talking about sales. So and it's interactive rather than being a webinar. So you'll be able to ask questions and talk to other business owners online about issues affect you. It's not about networking.